All right, in this short tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make your website responsive for your final project. And you did do this in chapter 7 in your textbook when you did the homework. And I also assigned a little short understanding your knowledge check-in in the middle of the chapter that also shows you how to do this. But right now, as it stands, I've got a website and it is not responsive. So it does change and move, but we do not have rules that we've put in to our style sheet to actually do different things at different sizes. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do this. I've cheated a little bit for this, so I already have the steps typed out. So I'm going to add them just a little bit at a time so I can tell you about them. But what I have here is I have an index page, and it looks like this. And then I have it linked to a style sheet that looks like this. And so the style sheet as it stands right now only has styles for the desktop version, which is what you guys are used to making. And now what we need to do is we need to add styles for the other sizes. So when the screen gets to the tablet version and when it gets to the phone version. So if I go over here, my first step is I'm going to add a media rule, and it's going to be for tablet. And so I'm going to go to my style sheet and I'm going to add this media rule. And the way what it says is at media only screen and max width 1024 pixels. And so what's that's saying is these rules are going to be true when the screen size gets down to 1024. With every media query, there's an opening and a closing, and all the rules go inside of it. The other thing that I encourage you to do for your final project is to make sure that you put some comments. So I'm going to say CSS rules for tablet version. So now I know that that's here, and I'm also going to put something over here that just says end of CSS rules for tablet. And the reason why I'm doing that is because sometimes it gets a little confusing as to why this little curly Q bracket is hanging out, because you have so many rules you put inside of it. So now nothing's going to be different on my page yet because I actually haven't put any rules in here. But the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to format these two rules here. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to go to my style sheet and I'm going to put these inside of my media. So what I'm doing is I'm going to say, hey, I want the margin of left in my main content of my website to be 0. And I don't want the nav to float, and I want the width to be auto, meaning the width is going to take up as much room as we give it. So let's take a look and see what it looks like. So I've got my page, and now when I make it smaller, as soon as it gets down to 1024, it changes. You see that? So what it did is it's no longer floating, and the menu items are taking up the entire width of my wrapper. And if I move it back, it changes. So as soon as the page hits a certain width, it changes, which is really cool. After we do that, I'm going to go to my next step and I'm going to add some more rules. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to take my body and make there be no margin. So I'll put that down here and I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to refresh it so that you can see how it works. So we're going to go this way and we're going to look, and there we go. And I'm going to go to the wrapper and I'm going to make the width auto, which should expand the wrapper. Right now the wrapper in the regular code for the desktop, if we scroll up, the wrapper has a width of 80%. So if we change the wrapper to be auto, it should fill up the entire screen. And there we go. So now the wrapper is 80% when it's in desktop version, and when I move it down, it automatically becomes auto, which gives it 100%. I'm going to go back and put some more rules in. Now, all these rules are going to be for the navigation. So this first rule that says display inline block is actually going to display all of the navigation items in a row. So it's not going to be by column. It's also going to align them center on the page, and it's going to make the border style none. So let's check it out. I'll save it. And now you can see that my nav bar is up at the top and it's centered for the tablet version. And then I think there's one more step for this, or two more. So by default, the H1 and H2 are fairly large, and the paragraph size is too. But in the tablet version, we want to make it a little smaller. So usually when you get to a tablet and a phone version, you want to make the font and everything a little bit smaller so that it's visible on that smaller device. So now I've successfully made a responsive site that's gone from the desktop down to my tablet version. Now the last thing we need to do is put in some rules for the phone. And so I'm going to go back for my cheating that I've done to pre-make this, and I'm going to go ahead and put in my next media query, which I'm going to go after, see how it says end of CSS rules for tablet. Then I'm going to start my phone, and I do have a typo in there that I've got to fix. But my phone is for max width of 768. And again, I'm going to go ahead and put a little comment in here that says end of rules for phone. And I'm also going to put a comment in at the very beginning that says CSS rules for phone. Not tablet, we just did that. So now the last thing I need to do is once my browser gets to 768 or less, then I need to have other rules. So what I'm going to do for this last one is, so in the tablet view, my font size is for my H1 and H2 is 120%. And for the media, I'm going to make it 100%. And I'm also going to take the font size down to 90%. I might go and make that 80% to make it a little bit less. And then the figure, in our code, figure is what displays this lighthouse. And when I get down to mobile, I don't want the lighthouse at all. So I'm going to go ahead and make that figure be none. And let's save that and check it out. So now you can see that my text gets even smaller and my figure goes away. And then the last thing I'm going to do has to do with the navigation. And so I'm going to make the navigation have 0 padding. Display block is going to put them underneath each other. And then also I'm going to make sure that I have some padding and border around those elements. So I'm going to go ahead and put that underneath where it says figure. I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to refresh. And now I have my last little menu item for mobile. So I've successfully made a responsive site that goes from desktop. Once it gets down to 1024, it goes to tablet. And once it gets down to 768 pixels, it goes to phone view. That is what is expected for your final project. This menu is fine, so you can make a menu similar to this. Or if you want to use a new item and do something really fancy, I always have students that put it in little hamburger menus, and the hamburger menus have the 3 lines, and you click on it and the menu drops down. So hopefully this little exercise allowed you to learn more about responsive design. If you want to do this exercise on your own, it is in Chapter 7 when they talk about responsive design. And I hope that you have fun making your final project. Bye.